Hello there, my name is Lucy. I'm an eating disorder recovery advocate, and I try and use my platform, mainly Instagram, as much as possible just to walk with people who are struggling with an eating disorder or who are in the active steps of recovery. And I really see this channel as an extension of that, although I must be honest, I haven't been very consistent. I'm busy doing my internship as an educational psychologist and it's been quite demanding, but I really do want to invest more time in longer format videos to hopefully just be a support to you on your journey to recovery. And on that note, I thought to start off the new year, I would speak about what I consider to be some of the most important things when entering eating disorder recovery and when really trying to make active steps towards healthy changes in your life. Because I think it's very overwhelming and daunting, and yeah, I just hope this might be helpful to you, because I guess these are the kinds of things I would have liked to have heard when I was in those early stages of recovery over 10 years ago. So I do think the first thing, and this is obviously the hardest thing, is being open to some kind of support or additional care. And I think that is often the most terrifying thing, because it feels like you're giving up control of your eating disorder, which has often been your source of support and comfort, despite the fact that it has also been a source of immense distress. And that is the strangeness of an eating disorder. It becomes the thing that we rely on, but it's also the thing that ultimately starts to kind of destroy us and our lives. So that's why recovery is so daunting and so terrifying, because you really have to be willing to release some of those behaviors that you've been relying on, and also potentially have some changes in your life that you don't always want in the way that you would hope you'd want, like, for example, potentially gaining weight or eating differently. We don't always want those things, although we often can tell that we need them. And so I just remember for myself, I was very resistant to any kind of treatment, despite my family being worried, despite my friends being worried. I was resistant because I didn't want to give up, and I also didn't fully recognize that I needed help, because I felt like I was fine, because my eating disorder was making me feel like I was fine. And if I was fully embedded in my eating disorder, I was kind of fine, but actually when I was actively living life, I wasn't fine at all. And it's funny, I just had this distinct memory, and I can't remember anything else other than that I was at the front door of my house and my mom was opening the door, and I guess she had been kind of wanting to take me for help, and I'd been resistant, and obviously it had just gotten too much, and I just had that one breaking moment. And maybe you can relate to that one moment where you suddenly just feel completely out of your depths and you just realize, I actually do really just need someone to help me. And I just remember breaking down at that one moment at the front steps of our house and just saying, I actually just really need some help. And that kind of got the ball rolling for me. But sometimes I do think there needs to be that initial step towards acknowledging that you need help, even if you don't really want help. Because even when I entered the recovery space, I didn't want to recover. And I think that's a common experience for a lot of people. It's not the kind of illness that you always want to heal from in the same way people often want to heal from other illnesses, because it becomes so entrenched in your identity and you become so comfortable in it. But by becoming comfortable in your eating disorder, you lose comfort in the rest of your life. So it just makes it a very difficult condition to heal from because of that, for that reason. So after I finally said I wanted help, I started seeing a psychologist and I started going into therapy. And obviously this looks different for everyone. Everyone's story is unique. Some people go into inpatient, some people, it's all just different for everyone. But you want to be in you want to have that kind of support system, whether it is therapy, whether you even go full inpatient, whether you get some kind of other intervention, I do think it's important to be open to exploring your options when it comes to the kind of treatment that you can receive. Unfortunately, as is the case, treatment's expensive in some instances and not always easily accessible, and that's where I think the eating disorder recovery community can play such a positive role. It's just maybe if you really can't access any kind of more mainstream forms of support, it's about finding accounts and people online who you can resonate with, who you can maybe have some open dialogue with. But at least if your kind of social media world is being filled with recovery support, it can form some kind of basis for moving forward in a positive direction. But ultimately, I do think therapy or some kind of intervention along those lines is really important, because that's where you do the hard work of learning and of recognizing the difficulties that you have, and of also learning how to challenge beliefs that are not serving you well, learning how to identify the different triggers in your life, working through those triggers, and hopefully developing a new skill set that will serve you better than what your eating disorder is. So that's the first one. It's just therapy is important, but therapy only goes so far. You're in therapy for a very small portion actually of a week and even of your day. So you have to carry some of the things that you learn in therapy or the things that you learn online into your everyday life. And I think there are some very practical and important things that you can do to make the road to recovery easier for yourself. And the main one is just trying to remove any of the things that are very triggering to you. So that can involve unfollowing people who are particularly triggering to you. I'll be vulnerable and say that I was very attracted to kind of supermodels and a specific look. I kind of filled my life with a specific look and a specific image that was not healthy for me to actually be viewing consistently. So unfollowing people who might be facilitating your disordered belief system and guiding you further down that path, whether it is certain body types that you might be following people because they look a certain way, or also that you might be following people who stick to specifically regimented diets and who are or exercise regimes that actually feed in to your eating disorder, and following them and removing that from your online world plays an important role, because social media is so influential, and I think it hits us a lot deeper than we sometimes realize. And so just releasing yourself of anything that triggers you online, I think, is so helpful, but also in your everyday life. So things like the scale, like not weighing yourself 3 times a day or even once a day or ever. Removing the scale out of your bathroom. You don't actually need to know how much you weigh every day. It's a useless number in your actual existence. So don't have it so easily accessible. Don't have it there so that you can compulsively weigh yourself. Other things are deleting apps like MyFitnessPal that's enabling you to track everything you've eaten and making you feel, sorry, my battery's about to die. And hopefully removing all these triggers, identifying these triggers, whether it is different apps, people you follow, the physical things in your environment. Hopefully if you are in therapy, you can learn to identify what those things are and gain the courage to remove them from your life, because if they're not serving you well, you don't want them there. But the next thing that I think is important is to seek some kind of dietary advice or support from a trained professional. And this is such sticky water, I think, if water were ever to be sticky, just because, unfortunately, I think a lot of professionals are quite primed to almost support notions of diet culture and can actually be quite triggering when it comes to speaking about food. So it really is about finding people who are trained but who are not invested in the diet culture rhetoric, and who are really able to help you find healthy ways of learning to love food, which includes all food. I know the word healthy even can be quite triggering. When I say healthy, I mean the invitation of all food into your life, because all food can serve a good purpose and a healthy purpose when we're eating it and enjoying it in the right way. So that's, I do think, is important. I think it's really hard to kind of just go into sort of learning how to eat without someone who knows a little bit more and who's a little bit more aware to hopefully guide you and nourish you and support you in finding a healthy way of eating that really serves you well and that really... Hello there, it is the next day. My battery died. I'm just learning in this space, and so please bear with me as we face these few hiccups. I've decided I won't continue this conversation just because I think I did say quite a lot, and it's quite a lot to sort of digest. I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but if you want to be a part of the conversation continuously and just feel like you might benefit from hearing more about how to recover and also getting more support, then I'd be so honored if you would subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram. So yeah, we can build our community and really just create a healing, safe space. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye.